Thank you for joining me. My name is Angel Arias. This presentation will be to discuss the initiative and referendum processes in the state of Arizona. Now, for the basic beginning, the definition for both would be an initiative is a process by where a citizen can formally propose new laws or amendments to existing laws. A referendum is the same process, except the beginning initiation would come from the legislature. Now, for the initiative process, it all begins with a citizen or a group of citizens who fill out a form and submit it to the Secretary of the State. Once it's processed, the petition would be distributed to the public and signature collection would be started. Now, for the initiative process, there are two processes, one being constitutional, which would change amendments to the Constitution, and statutory, which changes normal day-to-day laws in the legislature. For constitutional initiatives, you need a total of 15% of the voter numbers. For statutory, you need 10%. Now, most of the time when they collect signatures, they usually try to gain more just to cover the cases where signatures are thrown out. Once the collection has been attained, the Secretary of State goes ahead and places the measure into the ballot for the next election. During this next election, if the majority of voters approve, then the new law goes into action or the amendment goes into the Constitution. Referendum process is a little bit more involved, but it has a simpler start. For a referendum, a bill is proposed in the legislature. Just like the legislature or government for the United States, there is zone of government, has a House and a Senate. A bill must be approved both in the House and the Senate and must be the same bill through just a simple majority, which is easier than the United States Congress. Under the process of a constitutional referendum, once a simple majority is passed between both measures, then the bill is sent and prepared for a ballot measure, for whichever the next cycle of voting is. Once approved, then it becomes a new law or amendment into the Constitution. Under the statutory referendum, the simple majority is needed to pass both the House and the Senate. Now, at this point, the legislature can choose to send it to the governor, who, if approves, signs it, in which case it becomes a new law and amendment, or they may choose to go around the governor and refer it automatically to the people, which would becomes a ballot measure. Once this ballot measure gets a majority vote, then this becomes a new law or amendment. And in the case that it does not get a majority vote, then this bill dies in ballot. We do have a third option under the referendums, and that is when the statutory referendums have passed and gotten the signature from the governor. At this point, all amendments and new laws have 90 days before they become active. At this point, any citizen can submit a petition to vote on whether or not to pass it. And at this point, with the 90 days, they have to get about 5% of the voter registration. Once this is accepted or attained, it goes to a general election, in which case, if the majority vote on this, then this law is vetoed, surpassing the power of the governor. Now, for the similarities and differences for the referendums and initiatives, the biggest similarity they have is that all initiatives and referendums have to be approved or denied by the voters. There is no process in the Arizona government whereby laws or amendments cannot be changed or stopped by the citizens. Now, there are differences in them, as whereby referendums do not require signatures to start the process, but initiatives do need signatures. Initiatives are proposed by the citizen, referendums are proposed by the legislature. There are some pros and cons to both the initiatives and the referendums. For one, initiatives build participation in both the legislature and the general citizen and voters. The initiatives have an open path to circumvent the legislatures if the citizens wish for it. Now, some problems that have been introduced is that initiatives require quite a large amount of signatures, larger than most other states require. In the legislature, proposals can get lost when bills don't match up between the Senate or the House. Initiatives also have the potential to be misused by citizens outside of Arizona or political interest groups. Another problem that we have for initiatives is that the proposals are not formalized. They're not standard legal forms. Once a citizen submits a form, they are not helped out by the government or by any lawyers. They are submitted as is, and if there is a problem and it passes through, then it takes another process of initiatives to correct it. One big benefit of the Arizona initiative and referendum process is that it has a direct link to direct democracy. Under this approach, referendums and initiatives hold the government accountable. All the changes to the constitutions or laws have a direct input from citizens, or can have. There is no way for the legislature or the governor to sidestep the citizens. One benefit is also that it helps counsel the relationship between special interests and government officials. The legislature has more options to pay more attention to the concerns of the people. Thank you for listening to the presentation. All material was obtained from the book Understanding the Arizona Constitution, written by Mr. McClory.